Yeah, exactly.
That the vaccine is probably worse than the disease, if there is a disease.
Yeah.
And what to do, and then people start making money selling preparedness kits, and you wonder,
Yeah.
do I want to survive? I mean, what is this going to be like
Yeah.
in the final analysis? So it just feels like we've really have at least one foot in World War III, maybe more than one foot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it's scary actually. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, what is the? This is an impossible question, of course, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I mean, how can we prevent this then from taking place and playing out as Pike suggested?
Yeah. I almost wonder if we can. After speaking to certain people, and even when you come out with just facts and figures, and they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It's like, I know that you've had Michael Tazarian on, and I happen to be a great fan of his.
Yeah, great.
And it's just, people have this, what Jung would call the archetype of the big daddy, of the animus.
Yes.
And the president becomes this archetype, and people want to believe so strongly. It's like if somebody upsets your belief system in what God is, or is there a God? And people don't want to hear about it, and they get very, very offended.
Yeah.
And they need to have this kind of a comfort zone that God is in his heaven and all's right with the world.
Yeah.
And the president's in the White House, and he has things under control. And look at that. There was another terrorist attack thwarted.
Yeah.
So, so they must be doing their job.
Perfect timing, too.
Yes. Isn't it always when the ratings are going into the tanker?
Yeah, exactly.
And my sister, who's a very bright woman, and she lives in England, she's very anti-Israel. She was talking about the huge demonstrations. She says, I think Blair is the only one that's pro-Israel in this country. And yet, if I talk to her about 9/11, she says, oh, I don't want to go there. and I remember the last time they had that supposed terrorist attack in Great Britain, and I said something to her, and she said, Judy, can't you believe that anything is just the terrorists? So I said, okay, well, I was visiting her, and I wasn't going to walk home, so so I just allow it to be, because I don't want a war. I don't want a war on a personal level. I don't want a war on a global level.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I guess too many people I identify themselves with their opinion or even, as you say, their own comfort zone, and as soon as you begin to question that, it is like, I guess people might take it on as a personal, assault or attack on them, on who they are. And and as you said, as long as people identify themselves with their faith or with their, country or whatever, I mean, they will be personally attacked as soon as you begin to question these things. So how do we... Can we ever break free from that? I mean,
that's a very it's a question I can't answer.
Me neither.
I know that Michael Tazarian talks about the galaxies coming into different energies, and I remember a lot of people that want Jesus to come back, or they feel extraterrestrials are going to intervene, or they're looking outside themselves. For somebody to come and solve the problem. I'm a spiritual person, and I'm a believer in God, but I'm also a believer in that God will work with you, but not for you.
Yeah.
And that it really behooves us to start doing something, and to figure out ways to escape this net that we're trapped in. And I'm not really sure we can. I'm not really sure that this isn't going to be a horrendous lesson that we're going to all get, and maybe some of us won't even learn it after we get the lesson.
Yeah.
Because people will have their own interpretations of what happened and why.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing here, because if this is a lesson that we must learn, that we can't put our trust in external things all the time, that we have to, take responsibility of who we are and what we're doing here, then I guess a situation like this is ultimately inevitable, because we have to wake up from the slumber. And I mean, it's I don't know what are we going to do here. I mean,
well, you said something really and just really important about taking responsibility, because I've read so much on the internet and I've listened to so many conversations, and I think people on both sides do not take responsibility. People like to play the blame game all the time. There are certain essayists who will focus on a group ad nauseum. If it rains, it's the fault of the group. And they never take responsibility for what they're doing or not doing, because sitting behind a computer ranting is not necessarily going to be the answer either.
Yeah.
We're in a divide and conquer mode right now.
Yeah.
We're being set up by a group that, if you want to call them Illuminati, or lately maybe they've changed their name to Zionists or whatever, but whoever this group is, they have covered all their bases, and they know exactly how to manipulate us.
Yeah.
And if we're going to fall for fighting amongst ourselves, then it's all over.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been Tazarian also, might have been an interview on your show, where he talked about looking at who's doing the firing. Get out of your encampments. We should, and I hate to use the word should, but we all should be pointed in the same direction.
Yeah.
Because there's something that is bigger than Jews or Jesuits or
of course.
whoever people are blaming these days. And they'll play any role. They'll adopt any religion, any philosophy, any belief system, because their love is darkness. Their love is greed and power and lust and control.
Yeah.
And they'll do anything that they can to keep it. And apparently they never have enough. So, and there are so many of us, and we're a threat. Our sheer numbers are a threat.
Yeah.
But we've been so dumbed down. We're so busy watching the television. Somebody calls it the sorcerer in the corner of the room. But it is.
It is.
People care. I've never even seen Paris Hilton. People care about her. People care about these reality shows, and they're not even involved in reality.
Exactly. We don't like, a smartass who knows what's going on. We like stars, and we like it that way, and that's how it should be, and that's the comfort zone right now, I think. And maybe people are panicked too, because in some sense they can maybe feel what's going on, although they don't know it. But the threat of that feeling is so huge right now, so people might do anything to avoid going there. I don't know. I mean, it can be.
I think you're right. I think that's really perfectly put. I remember shortly after 9/11, I was at a dinner party, and there was a woman there, kind of a left-leaning type, and she said, if I thought the government had anything to do with 9/11, I couldn't get up in the morning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she would be the old ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
She's much happier being that way, and a lot of people are.
Yeah.
I've had my own daughter-in-law say to me, don't go there. I've lost people in the World Trade Center, don't go there.
Yeah.
I said, well, if you lost people, wouldn't you want to know the truth about it? But it doesn't compute, because it's just easier. I mean, if you think that your own government would kill its own citizens, that's a very sobering thought.
Indeed. I mean, what more can they, possibly be conspiring about then? I mean, if you allow yourself to maybe not believe it at first hand, but allow yourself to elaborate at least on the thought and the possibility that it might be true.
And if you elaborate too long, you may come to the conclusion that it is true.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
this illusion of security security completely melts away because there is no security.
Yeah.
There's no one to protect us.
Precisely.
And we have to find our own meaning and our own solution.
Yeah.
And our own, I said to something earlier about hearing this person say something about going from nervousness to being absolutely scared. But I know that fear is not the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because fear is what they're spreading all the time,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
The terrorists are coming, the diseases are coming, the cancer is coming, this is, the storms, everything is always coming, you know. The alerts are always around. The war on everything is an abysmal failure.
Yeah. And
so they keep us in this state of fear, and we're easily manipulated.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, are you guys on any heightened alert over there because of the things going on in England now?
Well, the last I heard, we were.
Okay.
Yesterday, I got a ticket to go to Dallas for the opening of the Terror Storm at the end of this month, and my travel agent said to me, "You better get to the airport 3 hours early because somebody told me that there was a 2.5-hour wait at the security."
Okay.
And I'm just hoping that dies down a little bit in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I cannot see standing on a line for 2.5 hours.
No, of course. I mean, and it's
many reasons.
and it's a bit humorous, actually, almost to see, because I was looking at, I think, yesterday at the BBC live feed through their site, and I know everywhere over in England there I saw people, standing around, and and all the things that were happening are just ordinary people who are suffering because of this, and they can't bring along any hand baggage or anything. They can't have a milk carton on board the plane, and it is almost ridiculous looking at this, because the perspective isn't there, because there is no proof, yet at least no proof that even this plot was happening. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, you can't bring. She said you can't bring toothpaste. Well, I hope they sell it at the hotel. It's everything becomes a weapon after a while.
Yeah.
Box cutters were kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Wouldn't people take their luggage from the overhead racks and just bop the guys on the head?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like hijacking a plane with a toothpick.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Oh my God, he's got a weapon. It's a toothpick.
He's got a weapon. He's got an appointment book. He might smack the pilot over the head.
Yeah.
It just... So I don't know. But people, I think a woman was being interviewed on the news, and she said, "Oh, it's worth it to me. I feel so much safer." That's the thing. And I've heard, this is not mine, I think it's probably been said to death, but Bush starts off, they did it because they hate our freedoms.
Yeah.
And then all our freedoms are just being taken away from us,
Yeah.
not by them, but by them in the White House, by this administration or who's ever pulling their strings.
Yeah.
So and people are glad to give their rights away. Oh, just protect me, please protect me.
Yeah, do you think that, there could be something more behind it? We have, the Madison Avenue and the Tavistock Institute, I know, working on, social engineering, and the psychological aspects of all this seems to be, at least for me, a big factor. How they, the words they use and the terms and when and how they use it. Statements like this by Bush.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. I think the Tavistock Institute is really huge. I think we're constantly being mind controlled.
Yeah.
And you sometimes wonder about a lot of the people that all of a sudden say strange things. I get a lot of literature. Sometimes I